So I'm going to start with what's on the board is you have no actual homework tonight, but you do have a quiz tomorrow on rotation, revolution, and eccentricity. That is, as I put here, that's page 1 and 2 and 14 through 19 in your packet. So you have to learn, review those for the quiz. Rotation and revolution was quite a while ago. So I hope you flip back and look at those in your packet before the quiz tomorrow. It is a 22 question quiz, so it's kind of longer. But that way, people have been complaining that one question wrong or 2 questions wrong, or I got 3 questions wrong. How'd I get a 70? Now, each question will be worth a little less, but there will be more of them. So to make sure that you're kind of ready in a sense that you know, remember, you're good with eccentricity stuff. I gave you this little review, kind of like a check-in question here. We have 2 different shapes. And I tell you that this first one is more elliptical. What does it mean that it's more elliptical? It's ovalier. I love it. I love weird English words. Yes, it's more oval. And because it's more oval, its eccentricity is closer to 1. And then this one is less elliptical. What does it mean to be less elliptical? More circular. Good. It's less elliptical and its number is closer to 0. Perfect. That is one of the main concepts you need to get. The more oval it is, the more elliptical, its eccentricity is higher at 1. And again, if I turned that number sideways, that can kind of remind you of a number 1. And then the more circle it gets, the closer to 0. How about this last one? When calculating eccentricity, the larger the number is it more elliptical or less elliptical? The larger. More elliptical. And again, just to review, what does it mean to be more elliptical? More oval. I heard it. More oval. So that'll be about half the quiz tomorrow. We'll be making sure you know this stuff, making sure you know how to calculate eccentricity. You'll be given a ruler and a calculator and all that good stuff. So that's that. And then I want to go over the quiz, or no, not quiz, homework. So everybody grab your homework. I'll open it up to question 41. Yes, please. Number 41, the answer is 2. 42, the answer is 2. 43, 1. 44, 4. 45, 2. 46, 1. 47, 4. 48, 4. No, 48, 3. Right there, it says 48, 3. 49, 4. 54. Should I go over any of those? Look through. 45. Hang on, I seem to have missed. There it is. Did you say 45? Which process is represented by letter F? So we look at F, it's going down into the ground. Going down is when it's filling into the ground, so it's infiltration. Just so you remember, capillarity action, number 1 there, that's when the water goes up. Condensation's in the clouds, and vaporization isn't even part of the water cycle. Any more we should go over?
48 looks good.
48 looks good. Oh man, okay. The process of transpiration and evaporation are represented by. So let's actually just go through and look at these. I would label them all. So hey, Cole.
Yeah.
Letter A has an arrow going from the lake to the clouds. Do you remember? That is evaporation. B is in the clouds. Who remembers the term for what happens when water vapor turns to liquid water in the clouds? That is condensation. I think letter C is probably the hardest to remember because it is going up from plants. That's transpiration. I think we all know D, which looks like rain, but the official name for that is precipitation. 3E appears to be like labeling that type of line there. That's runoff. And F is the water going into the ground. We just did that one. Infiltration. If you labeled them, and by the way, you will need to know all those fancy names. We did that last chapter. It was on the test last chapter. It could be on the Regents. In fact, it was on the Regents in 2013. I know that sounds like a long time ago. Yeah, it was.
9 years ago.
Oh, wow, you did that math real fast. Okay, sorry. But what I'm getting, why I wanted to point this out is the Regents hasn't changed. The Earth Science Regents has not changed yet. It's due to, they're telling us it's happening soon. You guys don't need to worry about that. The 2013 Regents looks exactly, obviously different questions, but the same kind of stuff for this year. So by the way, which answer is it? So we need the one that has A and C as answer 3. Just like this, there are 85, there's, what was it, 50 multiple choice, and then whatever, then what is that, 35? Yeah, and we're gonna practice that too. And it's not written like 1 or 2 word answers. No essays, no complete sentences required. Any more that we should go over? Somebody's asked in every other class to go over question 42. I already have the writing there. It says, which map shows the most likely location of clouds associated with these pressure centers? And remember when we did clouds, or when we did pressure, I had you remember high, dry, cool, and clear.
I used that first.
Did you? Yes. I got through to one person. How many? Anybody else use it? She's not.
No, I'm not. I didn't write it down, but I definitely.
Yeah, you didn't have to write it, but high, dry, cool, clear. The clear means no clouds. There is no clouds on a high pressure day. The only one that has no clouds on a high pressure and clouds on a low pressure is answer 2. Now, would you have known they were that shape? No. Did you have to know they were that shape? No. You just needed to know that high pressure is clear, low pressure is cloudy. Any more? Which change would most likely occur to this rock if it became buried deep within Earth's crust and was subjected to intense heat and pressure, but did not melt? Keywords there are heat and pressure. So what kind of rock would it turn into if it had intense heat and or pressure? And if you don't remember, you don't have to. Oh, I gave my reference table away and they stole it. I have to use my old one. Which type of rock gets made by heat and pressure? How do we read this chart? What do we got to do? Read it backwards. So do igneous get formed by heat and pressure?
No.
Do sedimentary get formed from heat and pressure? Do metamorphic. So it turns into a metamorphic rock. Then we got to know what about a metamorphic rock. The density of the pebbles and sand would decrease. Ooh. Density, will they become less dense if they have heat and pressure? Picture a snowball, snow in your hands. How do I make them more dense? Pack it together. So if I'm packing them together for heat and pressure, would they become less dense? No, in fact, they would become more dense. So that's decrease is wrong. Rock would become plutonic and composed of mostly quartz. Whoa, the word plutonic. Is that a word associated with metamorphic rocks? Platonic is over here with igneous rocks. This is how I would answer the question, guys. It requires this much work. You first had to figure out what kind of rock and then go look at these words. Who even remembered seeing the word Platonic before? Yeah, you don't. So you just start looking through your reference table to see where those words pop up. And they pop up over here in igneous. Did an igneous rock come from intense heat and pressure? No sirree, Bob. Apparently I've learned that that's a saying only my family says, but I say it all the time. Kind of like, sorry, Charlie. That's
like a kindergarten.
well, I say it because our dog's name is Charlie. Or Tough Beans Charlie. No, a littler, a different one. Anyway, sorry. Rock become felsic. Felsic. Start looking through that word. Does the felsic pop up on the igneous or metamorphic rock chart? Pops up on the igneous rock chart. So again, igneous, felsic don't come from heat and pressure, but pebbles would become distorted and the sand would be recrystallized. Well, that doesn't pop up on here necessarily, but it does say pebbles are distorted right there. And that's in the metamorphic rock chart. You can. Any more, guys? All right, well then we will move on with the day. So put that away again. Remember, quiz tomorrow, rotation, revolution, eccentricity. Oh yeah, and keep those around. Just because we are done with the multiple choice, we're gonna come back to the short answer. So we're gonna move on to moon phases. And before we even go to anywhere in our packet, I kind of want to find, it will be page 21. But we're not going to write in it right away. I'm going to ask you guys, do you know what I'm talking about when I say moon phases? I hear you learned about them in fourth grade. Yeah. What do you remember from fourth grade about the moon? Okay, so whoa. I haven't even started writing yet. Full moon. Everybody here know what a full moon is? Yeah, okay. Can you describe what a full moon is? You can see the whole side of the moon, right? It's a whole circle. What's the opposite? Does anybody remember the name of when you can't see any of the moon? No. Does anybody? That is the new moon. I couldn't hear you. What? All the phases of the moon happen once a month. Yep. Or throughout the month. Takes 1 month to do all of them. 1 month-ish, I should say. You listed some others. Half moon. So this is not your fault. This is New York State's elementary science curriculum's fault. It's a big pet peeve of mine. Half moon. There's no such thing as a half moon because what is it really? Caitlin said it, it's a quarter. It's a quarter moon. Here's where they just must have thought kids in fourth grade couldn't handle their fractions, so they tell them it's a half. Let me show you what I mean, why it's not a half a moon. So you guys would have called, whoa, that's a bad one. This is a bad moon, Pop. Give me a second. This is the moon you would have called a half a moon, right? This is, by the way, the lit up side. This is supposed to be the side you cannot see. This is what you would have called a half moon, right? Because it's half light, half dark. Why is it really called a quarter? Nope, it's half and half looking.
So confusing.
Nope. How about this? when you look at this full moon, when you look at a full moon, how much of the moon are you really seeing? Okay, so you're seeing the full circle, but isn't there a whole backside of the moon that you're not seeing? So when you're looking at a full moon, it's really only a half moon. So now let's change that to when you look at this moon. So this section right here is only a quarter of a moon. You have one quarter here, the other quarter that you can't see because it's dark, the lit up quarter in the back, and then the dark quarter in the back. So there's 4 quarters of the moon. And when you're looking at the quarter moon, which you thought was the half moon, you're only seeing half the lit up side, which is a quarter of it. Half a half is a quarter. So unfortunately, even though they taught you that in 4th grade, if you say half moon this year, I have to mark you wrong. You have to use the real name. We're missing 2 more names. Crescent. You guys know what a crescent is, right? Looks okay. We're going fingernail in this class. Last class called it a toenail, so I'm glad we're classing it up and going fingernails. But it's the one that looks like the classic, like, that was a bad one. I'm not even good at it, but like the classic moon shape.
That looks like a bird, like on that game.
And what game? Never mind. I don't think I want to know.
No, I can't remember where you like collect all the dots. Yeah.
Oh, yes, they have told me that it looks like a Pac-Man, but yeah, hopefully you know what I mean, but the classic moon shape. It's called a crescent, but yep, looks like a fingernail. And there's one more. Who remembers? I wouldn't expect you to. Do you remember it? It's a gibbous.
You Google and answer.
Are we talking about 4th grade? Oh, we did this in 6th grade too? What does this moon look like? This is when it's almost a full moon. So there's just a little section missing. We're going to look at pictures of all of these in a second. So the gibbous is when it's just about full, but not quite. But there's some words missing here because there's really 8 phases of the moon and I only listed 5. There are opposites of each other and they're called waxing and waning. So the quarter, the crescent, and the gibbous can all be waxing or waning. Waxing. Any thoughts on the word waxing? Cynthia. Is it? That's weird that that's what comes to your mind, Cynthia. Cynthia. No, not waxing your legs. No, not waxing your legs. Cynthia's right. We think alike, Cynthia. You're not wrong even a little bit.
While we're watching.
Hey.
Oh, Mr. Miyagi, I forgot to give this back to you last night.
No, you keep.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Sir, ready?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
And your son must talk. Walk on the road. Walk right side, safe. Walk left side, safe. Walk middle. Sooner or later, get the squish, just like grape. Here, karate, same thing. Either you karate do yes, or karate do no. You karate do guess so. Like grape. Understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Now ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yes. Let's make sacred pact. I promise teach karate That's my part. You promise learn. I say you do. No question. That's your part. Deal?
Steal.
Yes. First wash all the car, then wax. Wax.
Wait, why do I have to watch all the car?
Remember deal. No question.
Yeah, but
Right. Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand. Wax on, wax off. Breathe in through nose, out the mouth. Wax on, wax off. Don't forget to breathe. Very important. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off.
Hey, where'd these cars come from?
Wax on. Detroit. Wax off. Wax on. Wax off. La, la, la. Wax on. Right hand, make a circle. Wax off. Left hand, circle. Wax on. Wax off. Breathe in. Breathe out. Wax on. Wax off. Wax on. Wax off. Wax on.
Lindor, made to melt you by the Lint
All
Master
right, good. You
Chocolatier.
should also watch Cobra Kai if you haven't.
I watched some of the first.
I really enjoy Cobra Kai. Anyway, why? I think you're right.
Green works.
All right, and I'll turn this off to get rid of the buzzing. Why does anyone wax a car?
Make it shiny.
To make it shiny. I love it. I mean, I don't wax a car. I have literally never waxed a car in my life because I think there's protective layer of dirt is really good for a car. But anyway, my husband loves to wax cars. Makes them shiny, makes them brighter. And can I say that? Makes them brighter, shiny, brighter. You're good with that? The waxing moon is when the moon goes from being dark to being very shiny. So goes from being a new moon through all the different phases till it's a full moon. So it goes from being dark and dull to really shiny. Now the word waning, does anybody know what the word waning means in like normal everyday English? Okay, you're pretty much. So I always use it in a sentence. I say right now your attention is waning, lessening. Yeah, getting not as bright, not as shiny, getting dull. None of you in here, right? No. So waxing moons when the moon's getting brighter, when it's growing shinier, and when it's waning is when it's losing its shininess. You do need to be able to look at any phase of the moon, any of the 8 phases, and tell me what type of moon that is. So down here on the bottom of page 21, so we're going to ignore the top half till next time, but the bottom here has pictures of all 8 phases. Just so you know, in case you were curious, the dark is representing when you can't see it, and the white is representing the shiny side. So you need to be able to name these 8 phases by looking at pictures of them. So I have some pictures of the actual moon here with some notes that go with each one. So we're going to start with moon number 1, which is all dark, is called the new moon. So right next to that full circle on the bottom, you're going to write new moon and you're going to label it no light. I forgot to share my screen, so I will just again show you where I'm talking about. Right here, you should be writing new moon. And the notes with it should be no light. So you do need to be able to look at the picture and identify the name and be able to describe it. Wait, wait, oh, there it is. Then the next one down, moon number 2, where you see, like Cynthia mentioned, it's only a fingernail of the moon. I call it a smiley face. This is a waxing crescent. So go ahead and label that box waxing crescent again. And we'll put the notes that go with it. Oh, why do I have a crescent roll here? In case people forgot what shape of a crescent is. So these crescent rolls, when you cook them up, you can see that they're in that slightly C shape. The notes that go in with the waxing crescent are mostly dark with the light on the right. Again, how did I know it was a crescent? I know it's a crescent because of the shape. I know it's waxing because Mr. Miyagi tells us wax on, right side. So this is the side that's getting waxed. The right side's getting waxed. So this is the shiny side, the right side. Moving on to moon number 3. That's the one you would have called the half moon. The half and half is, and the light again, waxing on the right side is lit up. So that is the waxing quarter. It's also referred to as the first quarter. Either one is acceptable. So again, you're going to have to be able to look at pictures and tell me what the name of that moon is, or you're going to have to go the other way where I give you a name and you're going to have to draw it. Let's take a look at moon number 4. There you can see it's mostly light. Again, the light's on the right. This is what's called a waxing gibbous. I have seen people get gibbous and crescents confused because they're kind of like, if you put them together, they equal a whole. So some people get them confused. The best way I have to kind of remember that this one is a gibbous, if you look at the letter G, isn't it almost a full circle, like a full O? Like all I would have to do is connect there and it's a full circle. Isn't a gibbous almost a full moon? That's how I remember that this is a gibbous. The other way I remember is that a crescent kind of looks like a letter C. Like you could, if you were an artist, you could connect them there. That one actually looks. Okay, that's how I remember gibbous versus crescent. And again, this one's waxing because the light's on the right. That brings us to the full lit up one, which you all know is the full moon. All light for the full moon. Don't get the full moon and new moon confused. All light is full, all dark is new. All right, so now we're on to the waning gibbous. What's the difference between the waning gibbous and the waxing gibbous? The side. The shape is the same, but now we're just switching. Waning is on the left, because again, wax on, you know, is on the right. Waning then is on the left. So we're gonna move on to moon number 7 again, which is that half and half one. What kind of moon is half and half? Quarter is what I was looking for, and because the light's on the left, it is a waning. So waning quarter. Or third quarter, yes. It is referred to as the third quarter. Why? Because when you see the first quarter, 2 quarters would be a full. And then the third quarter is when you see this quarter. So it's like they numbered the quarters. And the last one we got there, it's mostly dark with just that letter C peeking out. And that is a crescent. And because the light's on the left, this is a waning crescent. So like I said, you're going to have to be able to see pictures of these and name them. So let's give it a shot. Let's play Name That Moon. Are you ready? I don't want anybody shouting anything out. I want everybody thinking of it. What you're going to do. So here's our first one. The first thing I would run through, is it a new moon or a full moon? Those two I think you have memorized. Is it a new or a full? No. Then I would personally ask myself, is it mostly light? That's a gibbous. Is it mostly dark? That's a crescent. Or is it half and half? Which one do you guys think this is? Mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half? Half and half. And what kind of half or what kind of moon is half and half? Quarter. Then label it as waxing or waning. And what side is the light on? The right. So all together, this is a waxing quarter. Okay, or 3 of you. Nice job. Now this one, nobody say anything out loud. When you're confident you know what kind of moon this is, raise your hand. Ask yourself, is it full? Is it new? No. Is it mostly light, mostly dark, half and half? What side is the light on? Megan, you want to give it a whirl? Fell for it. What letter is that up there? That's a crescent. That's a letter C. And that's exactly what I said. Everybody switches crescents and gibbous because the dark part looks like the light part of a gibbous. So it does make sense to me why you switched it, and almost everybody will do it at least once. But just slow down when you get to crescents and gibbous. Crescents are mostly dark like this one. Gibbous is almost all the way light. So if you get a crescent or a gibbous, stop yourself and think, mostly light or mostly dark. Again, so let's walk through that. Is it a new or a full? Mostly light, mostly dark, half and half. What kind of moon, or lighter, right or left? Raise your hand when you're confident. Don't let one mistake lose your confidence though. Well, if you're not raising your hand, I'm going to have to walk you through it. So you better get confident here, guys. Victoria, what are you thinking? Waxing gibbous. Light's on the right, so we know it's waxing. And this is the mostly light one. So that's going to be a gibbous. Now you won't have that list in front of you. So what you have to remember is crescents are mostly dark, gibbous mostly light, quarters half and half. Did I skip? Yeah, I did skip one. What's that one, everybody? Full moon. All right, here's another one. Raise your hand when you're confident about it. Give everybody a chance to think. Again, if you're not confident, I'm going to have to walk you through it. So get confident. Connor, you want to give us one whirl? Is a waning gibbous. I'm going with this one's really all dark. I know you can see some light, but if I did all dark, it would just be a black screen. So Chloe, that is Chloe's new moon. And that looks like where we're going to stop because I didn't tell you we were going to be drawing. So that is it. I do want to remind you that you have a quiz tomorrow, guys. Review rotation and revolution. There are 11 rotation and revolution questions on there tomorrow.